Conservative commentator Alex Deane, who also joins us live now from London. Alex, thank you for being with us on the program. First and foremost, our correspondent there kind of laid out the issues that Sunak will now have to face, starting off with the economy being the biggest one.
Yeah, I thought Simon's report was very fair. I might add a couple of nuances to it. The first being that one of the big commitments that the last government entered into, the short-lived Truss administration, was to raise the level of state spending in the UK on defence, given threats from around the world and Russia's activity in Ukraine and so forth, from 2% of our GDP, which is the NATO requirement, to 3%. Now, that is a quite significant new level of spending in an economy in which government's already in a great deal of debt. Under any normal circumstances, government would say, right, we're just going to go back to 2%. We're going to meet our NATO obligations, but we're not going to raise spending to that degree. But it is widely understood in Westminster that our very well-regarded Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace, has said that if our spending doesn't rise to 3%, then he will resign. He won't remain in post as Defence Secretary. He thinks that's the minimum requirement. So people in Westminster have been boxing the government in on what spending opportunities or choices they've got left. And the same kind of issues apply on benefit spending, our welfare package, where members of parliament have made it clear there's a ceiling or a floor below which they won't allow spending to go. Pensions, just the same. There's, people are saying they can't allow spending to drop below a certain level. So the number of decisions that governments can make about where they can cut spending, as opposed to just going into ever more debt, are very restricted.
Right, and that's where his expertise will play a big role. As we know, he was the former finance minister of the UK. Yeah. He also faced a lot of criticism during that session about appointing Suella Braverman back on his team as a minister, especially after, during his speech straight after being appointed as the prime minister of the country, he said that this government will have integrity, professionalism, and accountability. Do you think that he made a mistake?
No, I really don't. I think Suella Braverman's a very good performer. I think also pragmatically that Rishi Sunak's victory as the new leader of the Conservative Party depended on attracting a broad church of support from within the party, a new party of unity to rally behind our new Prime Minister, of which Suella Braverman's support was part. I mean, her support was helpful in him getting to the position he is now in. I think it's better to have such figures within the cabinet. I thought her departure from her role was as much, under Liz Truss, was as much to do with her falling out with the then Prime Minister as it was to do with any technical breach of the ministerial code. So I think it's good to see her back in cabinet. And there's a tranche of the Conservative Party, there's a part of my fellow membership which believes very strongly in controlling illegal immigration and puts that at the top of their agenda of priorities, their list of the things that the new Prime Minister must do. And Suella Braverman really demonstrates a commitment to that. So I think it makes sense to have her back in the cabinet.
Right. And looking at the other members of the cabinet, it seems like Sunak is really giving his go at reuniting the Conservative Party.
That's absolutely right. This is an effort from the new Prime Minister to demonstrate that all parts of the Tory party should come together and unite against the Labour Party. Liz Truss, when she formed a new cabinet, appointed 0 Rishi Sunak supporters to her cabinet. None. Anyone who'd opposed her didn't get into the cabinet. Sunak's cabinet is far more balanced. It's an attempt to draw together people from different wings of the party. After all, as your report has reminded us, the Conservative Party has lost 3 prime ministers in a row, not due to the Labour Party's efforts, but due to its own self-destructive instincts in the House of Commons. And if it's going to face any chance of being re-elected at the next general election, even if it's going to survive at the next general election, it's vital now that the Tory party comes back together. And that is clearly what the new Prime Minister is aiming to do.
All right, Conservative commentator Alex Deane, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour. It was a pleasure speaking to you.